Hi, this is Jackie Flores. This is a follow-up video from the previous video of access testing. So as a mainstream teacher, what do you use from the access test? You use that performance indicator. And that performance indicator is going to give you a number from 1 to 6. And I'm going to show you a little bit of how to use that number. We're more familiar with IEPs and special education and how to modify and meet students' needs according to that, but I'm going to kind of show you something that for ELLs, it's not the same thing, but something that is similar. Is called a teacher report, and this is given to you as a mainstream teacher, and I'm just going to show you how you can use it and how you can use the WIDA standards to be able to meet that child's English proficiency level at your specific content area. So you're looking at the teacher report, and it comes out every year. And so you're able to see their name, and it gives a bunch of information at the top. But what you want to specifically look at is the language domain and the proficiency level over here on the right. So specifically, it's talking about that child's listening, speaking, reading, oral language, literacy, comprehension, and then it gives you that overall composite score, which is down at the bottom. So for this child, it's at a 3.9. Okay, that's at a 3.9, and so the proficiency level is broken down up here in the language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And as I said again, it's from 1 to 6, 1 being entering and 6 being reaching, which is almost a fluent proficiency speaker. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit of how now you use that 3.9. So you look at that 3.9, and it can actually break it down for you in comprehension of listening and reading for specific content areas of the language of language arts, the language of math, the language of science, the language of social studies. I'm going to talk to you specifically about math because I'm in the math resource room and I teach math. And so for specifically math, it's breaking it down. So it's saying the number of correct items of math is 3 out of 12 total items. That doesn't mean it's testing the student's actual ability to calculate or to identify specific polygons. It's talking about, can the student, given the answer of the math, can the student articulate, write, and understand how to express it? And so I'm going to kind of give you an example of, so you're looking at that number of 3.9, and it also breaks it down into a specific, so it gives you that grade level cluster of grade level 6. So I'm going to be talking about 6th grade. And then this child is at a 3.9. And then you can look at your specific content area. So this is the language of mathematics. So how can you help this child to succeed in being able to understand what can you expect from this child's language? So if they're at a 3.9, and so this is specifically talking about writing, which is perfect because I actually just did an assessment where, an authentic assessment where the students had to articulate, similarly to so many extended responses, what their answer was and can they use that academic vocabulary. So this is what we can expect from the student. If they're at a 3.9, that means that they're almost at the level 4 of expanding. So it's saying, and you can translate this into, it gives you an example for a specific content standard, but you can kind of insert wherever you're at in your own units. So this is saying comparing choices based on rate calculations in real life situations using graphic organizers with the partner. That's developing. Specifically, I'm on my geometry unit. So how can I kind of change this a little bit? So compare choices. So compare polygons based on real life situations, or find area based on real life situations using that graphic organizer. Now, we want to push that student. This is what we can expect for them to be able to write down and be able to articulate. Okay, they should already be able to list and describe those polygons, but now they should be able to compare polygons. And we want to push them to level 4 of expanding. Can they compare the choices of one or the other and say, how can you differentiate between these two? That's where we would want to push them. And we want to scaffold it a little bit, and it tells you, so it gives you Bloom's taxonomy for each of the levels. So it's saying compare for this, and we want to push them to explain. How can we get them to push them to be able to explain? They can use that graphic organizer with a partner. And the level 4 doesn't have that graphic organizer. So we can start out with that graphic organizer for that unit, but then we want to kind of take it away as we're assessing to be able to say that now I want you to explain, not just compare, not just list, not to describe, but explain that polygon or explain that area. How did you find that area? And if they did really well on it, and then we wanted to continue to push them a little bit further, have them elaborate a little bit more, making it a discussion. But this specifically is talking about writing. So it goes through, and it goes through all of those 4 different domains of writing, and then it's talking about listening, speaking, and writing, speaking, listening, and reading. I'm so sorry. Talking about reading. And so another one that I thought was really helpful for this was talking about specifically instructional language. So you can go through with your ELL teacher and look at the WIDA standards, which is also online, of how can you communicate to make sure that they're understanding what you're expecting in the classroom. For me, I think that's just been one of the biggest eye-openers, is looking at the WIDA standards and being able to see, based on their PI, what can I expect from them to listen to me in following my instructions? Can they really comprehend what I'm trying to say? And so I think that was really helpful for me too. So I hope this video helped. And the next one I'm talking about authentic assessment, and how can we use your PIs to apply it to making authentic assessment for your students to really test the content and make sure that that language is not a barrier.